Hi my lovelies, I'm Jen and this is Crifty Crafty.
Hi my lovelies, I hope you're all well. So you can see in front of you I've got my maker machine and I've also got my Air 2 and we're going to do a few comparisons today. Now I've tried to make it as fair and as even as possible. So I've got two brand new mats. My maker has got its brand new fine point blade in, which I haven't used, and my Air has got a brand new fine point Cricut blade in, which is brand new out of its packet. I'm going to be using the same images, the same size. In terms of the vinyls and the iron-ons that we're using, they're going to be from exactly the same roll. So I'm going to try and keep everything as even as I can. So for this first test, I want to kind of look at the speed of the machines. So I'm using the same Cricut vinyl from the same roll. I've got quite a cursive small font that I'm using. And I just kind of want to see if there's a difference in the way that the machine handles them. So both our machines are ready to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is load them. So I'm just going to load my Air first. And you'll see that it just goes in part of the way and then does a quick little movement and it's done. Now with the maker, it feeds the mat all the way through and all the way back. So the loading process is slightly longer, but it's only a matter of seconds. So you are able to cut at the same time, however there is a slight delay. So if you press cut on both machines at the same time, one will start and then it will wait a few seconds and the next one will start. I don't know if that's just my internet or maybe my computer. I'm not sure. I can only go by my experience. So although mine won't start cutting at the same time, they do actually cut at the same time. And the way that you do this is you just bring up two windows of design space. So as I say, I'm using the same Cricut vinyl. I've got the same image. So we're going to do the Air first, and I'm just going to time the cuts using my stopwatch on my phone. So we're going to do the Air first and then we're going to do the maker. So I'm just going to start our Air, and of course we have to allow for human error in this test because obviously my reaction times and all of that, but it just gives us a rough idea. So that cut took 54 seconds. So now we're going to go ahead and time the maker. And as I say, again, we have to kind of allow for human error. And whether the maker is using the rotary blade or the fine point blade, it will kind of go in and do this little dance that it does, and then it starts cutting. And I do think that it cuts faster. It looks like it's moving faster. However, because it does its little dance, I don't know if that then affects the overall time. So the time on that was 56 seconds and 77 milliseconds. So that's less than a 2-second difference between them. So I think that that's brilliant. There's clearly not a huge amount in difference between them in terms of cut speed, even with the maker doing its slightly longer dance. And again, you have to allow for human error. So in terms of speed, I think they're both pretty much the same. So this is the Air cut, and you can see we've got a significant amount of uplift here. our F has completely come away. It's actually lifted up from the mat, and we've got some lift up on the Y's and the I's and the T's as well. So there is a significant amount of uplift with the air cut. This is the maker cut, and it's cut really well. We've got a little bit of movement on the dot above our I, but it's still there, and we've lost the middle of our F's in terms of the bit that you would weed, the kind of really small joint in the curvature, but we would weed those out anyway. Everything is firmly on that mat, so that has cut really, really well. So our next test is sound, and of course cut as well. So this time I'm using a image. Again, everything's exactly the same. So I've got some Cricut glitter vinyl. They're both on the same setting, which is glitter vinyl. So we're going to cut both of them, and I want to see how it cuts and also the sound as well. So both machines have now finished cutting, and to be perfectly honest, I don't think there's a huge amount of difference in the noise. You might feel differently, but obviously being in the room, I really don't think there's a lot in it. I think the air is slightly quieter, and when the maker is kind of doing its little dances, it is slightly noisier. But in terms of the cutting noise, I honestly don't believe there's a lot in it, so I'll leave you to make your own minds up about that. So this is the air cut, and you can see that that is just weeding beautifully. It's cut the image, no problems whatsoever. So that's the air image, and that, as I say, has cut beautifully. It weeded beautifully. The cut lines are lovely and smooth. There's no jagged bits. So that's cut really well. So this is our maker cut, and again, it's cut absolutely beautifully. Weeding absolutely no problem whatsoever. It's just cut really, really well. And the Cricut glitter is sometimes quite tricky, but both machines have handled it really well today. As I say, everything's equal, same size, same roll of glitter. Everything is as even as I can get it. So there we go, we've got both cuts. This one is the air and this one is the maker, and they're pretty much like for like. So in terms of that cut test, they're exactly the same. So our next cut is the crystalline glitter from Crafty Cutter, and we're just going to do a image. So I'm going to go ahead and press cut on both machines, and you'll see that one will start before the other, but they will both then cut. So both machines have finished cutting, and again they've both cut absolutely beautiful, no uplift whatsoever, so we're going to go ahead and weed them. So this is the maker cut, and you can see that we've got no uplift. So it's cut really well. So we're just going to go ahead and weed, and it should weed really beautifully with no problems. So that's the maker cut. Again, it's cut absolutely gorgeous, no problems there whatsoever. So this is the air cut, and again you can see we've got no uplift. It's cut really beautifully. It's weeding no problem at all, so all our cut marks have gone through. So again, I think that in terms of an image cut, the maker and the air are very much on par. I can't really see any main differences, to be honest. If they are, they're minuscule and I can't really see them. But we're going to kind of test out some more. But so far, in terms of image cuts, they're very much like for like. So that's our air image, and that's our maker image, and as you can see, they're both exactly the same. There's no difference there. So this time we're using the Cricut adhesive foil. So they're both on the same setting, which is the adhesive foil vinyl setting. So we're going to go ahead and press cut. And again, we're using the same image. So this is a text with an image in it. So we're going to go ahead and press cut on both. So this is the air, and you can see we've got no uplift. That's cut absolutely beautifully. So we're just going to go ahead and start weeding. And you can see that that is just pulling away, no problems. That has cut really well. So that has cut beautifully. So that was the air. So this is the maker, and again you can see we've got no uplift and it seemed to have cut really well. So again, we're just going to go in with our weeding tool and just start pulling that back. Again, it's cut absolutely beautifully. That is just peeling away, no problems. Beautiful. This is the air and this is the maker. Beautiful lines. We've got no kind of jagged edges. They're both really smooth and beautiful. So again, there's no difference with this whatsoever. I can't see any visible differences. We're ready for our next cut, which is glitter iron-on. So again, I've just put them on the same settings, which is glitter iron-on. So we're going to go ahead and cut both. So both images have now cut, and again we've got no lift up whatsoever, so they both seem to have cut beautifully. So we're going to go ahead and weed. So this is the air cut, and you can see we've got no lift there whatsoever. And this is the maker cut, and again it's cut absolutely beautifully. So we're going to go ahead and weed the air first. So that's the Air, and again, it's cut absolutely beautifully. No problems with that whatsoever. So we're going to go and weed out the Maker image. So again, that has weeded beautifully. So both the Air and the Maker have cut absolutely lovely. There's no problems with either of those images whatsoever. So again, absolutely great. They seem to be on equal par. So the next comparison I want to do is flocked iron-on. Now I just want to note that with the new Maker settings, there is a setting for flocked iron-on. I've not tried it yet, but I'm assuming that it will cut perfectly because it's been, you know, made for the flocked. Now this setting is not available in your custom dial with the Air. So I've set both machines to glitter iron-on, just because, as I say, I want them to be the same setting. But I will do a video on the flocked iron-on setting with the Maker, but it's not available in the custom dial for the Air. So we're going to do glitter iron-on for the cut instead. So I'm going to go ahead and press cut on both. So that's the Air cut out, and it's cut out absolutely beautifully. The Maker, again, has cut out absolutely beautifully. So I just wanted to do one more test. I'm more than happy that the images and pre-made text in Design Space cut exactly the same. There's no kind of difference in those. But with our earlier tests, it became quite clear that with downloaded fonts, there is a difference. So I've put a different downloaded font together, quite a cursive one again, quite small and fiddly again. This time I'm using the Cricut Glitter Vinyl, and I just want to see if there is a difference. So I'm going to go ahead and press cut on both machines. So this is the Air cut, and you can see that it's cut reasonably well, but it's missed some cuts out, so we've ended up losing some of our details. So it caught a bit here, so we lost some of that, and here in the tail, and again round here as well, and there was a slight bit of lift up. So it's cut really well, but there is a kind of few little problems when it came to weeding. So that's the Air piece. So this is then the Maker piece, and you can see that that's cut absolutely beautifully. Every kind of line is where it should be, even the really small fiddly ones. We've got no pull up, we've got no kind of pieces that haven't cut, and it weeded really easily as well. The Air cut was slightly more difficult to weed. So in terms of the Maker versus the Air, in terms of everyday use, so vinyl, iron-on, not that much difference, to be honest. The speed of both is very, very close. I can't really hear a difference with the noise. I think the Maker is slightly noisier, but I don't think it's, you know, that much of an impact in terms of difference in noise. In terms of Design Space images and Design Space fonts, they both cut absolutely perfectly. Now, in terms of downloaded fonts, there was a difference there. Now, with downloaded fonts, you kind of are going in blindfolded. You don't always know how the machine's going to cut them, or how the material's going to cope with them, or what sizes you should work with. And with downloaded fonts, I normally use a deep cut blade anyway, just because the angle rotation is better. But obviously today, in terms of fairness, we were using the fine point blade on both machines. And there was a difference. The Maker did cut the downloaded cursive fonts better than the Air. So in terms of that, there was a difference, but again, it's not It depends on your usage. I don't think it was a huge difference. And with all downloaded fonts, you kind of have to play with the materials and you do have to play with the sizes. So it's no different with the Maker. You're still going to have to do that. But I do think it handled it slightly better. But that's kind of the only difference. We didn't use any downloaded images today. They were all Design Space images. So you know, that's obviously something that will come out in terms of more use. We'll kind of explore those avenues as we use it more. But I just wanted to do a few kind of basic tests. And although there was differences with the downloaded font cut, with everything else, they pretty much cut the same. So unless you're really kind of interested in cutting fabric without backing, and you really are going to use your Maker for that a lot, and you're interested in obviously the wood blade, which is not available yet, I think the Airs are still a fantastic machine. I love both machines. I love the Maker and I love the Air. I think that they're both very relevant in the market. I think that the Air is still a really relevant machine, and I will continue to recommend the Air because it's in no means redundant because the Maker's been bought out. The Air is still a brilliant machine, and as I say, in terms of the tests we've done today, there wasn't really a huge amount of difference. I will say that obviously with the Maker there are more fabric cuts and there are some different cuts as well. So for example, with the Maker you've got a dedicated iron-on flock setting, whereas with the Air you haven't. So some of the settings are slightly different in terms of the cuts available, but with the Air you're still able to cut the flocked iron-on, it just hasn't got its own dedicated setting. So there's differences in terms of that, but I don't think, as I say, there's any huge differences in terms of cuts. The only cut differences I saw was with downloadable fonts, and as I say, we didn't kind of look at any non-Design Space images, but I have to say they're pretty similar in their cutting, so they're both really kind of on par with each other. The only big difference is that a few of the cuts are different. Obviously there's a lot more fabric cuts with the Maker. The Maker has the rotary blade, so you're not having to cut with backing when it comes to fabric. There are a huge amount of fabric cuts available with the Maker. You've only got basic kind of fabric cut settings with the Air. So there are differences, but I still love both machines and I'm going to continue to use both machines, and I will continue to recommend both machines as well. I think, as with everything in life, it depends on your usage and it depends on what you want the machine for. But I love both machines. I think they're both absolutely brilliant. So as always, thank you so much for watching. Please do like, follow and leave any comments, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I'll see you all next time. Please do subscribe, like and comment below. Bye.